Thanks for joining us here on the channel for the review of the Honda Pioneer 1000. This particular model is the Quick Flip 5 or 1000-5. It has a 4-door body with 3 seats in the front bench, and the 2 seats in the back actually fold down into the dump bed and can pop back up for passengers. It is nice if you want to haul some cargo but still have a short wheelbase with the capability of hauling more passengers. That makes it pretty handy. I think what sets this apart from most of the other side-by-sides in the market is the dual clutch transmission, which I really like. It feels a little bit more direct as far as getting the power to the ground, and with the gears it can make it a little bit more sporty to drive. It just depends on what your style is and what you like. But we'll review that, talk about some of the features and some of the things that we've added. Different wheels and tires, mirrors, a windshield, and a custom top. I would call it a budget top. But yeah, let's get into it. The Honda Pioneer 1000, this being the Quick Flip 5, does have 4 doors. You have a cargo bed here in the back. Makes it pretty handy for hauling a few pieces of wood, a couple of chainsaws, gas, bar oil, or you can flip this up, lock it in, bring this down, flip up a seat belt. The seat belt latch up here extends down and connects, and then you have a seat belt for 2 passengers in the back, one over here and one here. It's not real roomy on foot space, but typically this is for a few kids to be riding along, and they don't complain too much. I'm 6 foot tall and can ride back there somewhat comfortably, but I wouldn't want to spend all day in the back seat. When you want to bring this back down, you simply fold this up, hook it, and there's a small trigger back here that you can operate and one-handed bring that back down to a nice dump bed. If I open up the front door, I have a lever here, and it is shock assisted. You may have to help it a little bit if there was some weight in the bed, but it dumps with the tailgate and can be very handy. The tilt steering wheel is easy to operate. You have a lever on the bottom, you can adjust it all the way up and all the way down, making it a little bit easier for larger drivers. You have paddle shifters behind the steering wheel if you're in manual mode to shift on the dual clutch transmission. There is a switch to flip it from automatic to manual, and even a sport mode. It's right beside the light switch. There are 3 additional switches below if you want to wire up some extra lights or a winch. You have your selector for diff lock, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, or even turf mode, where you just have one wheel in the back pulling. When you turn the key on, your display is fairly simple. You've got a fuel gauge, a tachometer, the speed shows, and you have a display for whether or not your differentials are locked or you're in 4-wheel drive. It also tells you what gear you're in. overall I would have to say I'm very happy with the Honda Pioneer. It's very agile in the woods, has a great power to weight ratio, absorbs a lot of the bumps. The suspension's great, shifts in and out of four-wheel drive and has the diff lock appropriately. You feel like a lot of the power is going to the ground because of the DCT. It does shift a little bit harder for people who aren't used to it. If you have a CVT, it's a pretty smooth acceleration. With this one, you can definitely feel the shifts, and if you're not used to it, it might be annoying at first, but it feels like it puts all the power to the ground, so that's really nice. One of the first things that we did when we got this side-by-side is switch the factory tires out from the very aggressive off-road tires to something that would handle hard surfaces a little bit better, because we knew we would be driving it on the road. So we got the Kumho Road Ventures, Kumho Road Ventures, and some extra set of wheels so that we wouldn't have to change the tires out on the wheels whenever we wanted to switch back and forth. They held up very good so far on hard surfaces. They do okay off-road. When you get into some deep mud, you definitely notice that it's not the typical off-road side-by-side tires. In my county in Indiana, you can get DNR tags and keep them displayed on the vehicle. You're allowed to drive them on county roads legally. You don't have to get a turn signal kit or mirrors, which we did get mirrors, just so we have a little bit better visibility. So aftermarket mirrors, an aftermarket windshield, and then I kind of cut a custom top to have on as a shade device, canopy, umbrella, permanent umbrella. Yeah. One of the other things that we did is get mirrors. They're not required for the DNR off-road tag that we use in this county, but they do help a lot on visibility. Got a cheap set from Amazon. It came with a center really wide rear view mirror, and then of course the side mirrors. I did break the other mirror on the passenger side when I went to grab it and try to angle it right. I pushed my thumb all the way through the glass. I didn't get hurt, but they are budget-minded mirrors, so keep that in mind. Really help a lot when you're driving to see if there's any cars behind you so you can slow down or just get out of their way, or if you're trying to back up, it is helpful. The visibility in this side-by-side is great. It did come with nets, and we took those down because they were kind of a headache. They got in the way a little bit. I understand they put them in there for safety reasons, but I don't find that my driving style requires that much of a safety concern, of a safety net, of whatever. Yeah. Another aftermarket upgrade we made was a windshield. We were going to be on the road a lot, traveling at a decent speed, and wanted to keep some of the wind off of the passengers. So getting this allowed us to do that. It was not a very expensive upgrade, and we decided not to go with Honda's kit because it is a little bit expensive. Honda putting their name on something does make it a little bit more expensive than just going with an off-brand version. The off-brand version has been working very, very well so far. Pretty happy with it, actually. One of the last upgrades that I made was getting a black plastic top to put on it so that we have a little bit of shade for the drivers if you're just kind of putting around or you're doing some work. It does give you a little bit of shade when the sun's directly overhead, and if you ever do get caught in a little bit of a rain when you're out driving on the road, you do have the windshield and the top to protect the driver and a couple of passengers. This piece of plastic does not go all the way back. It was just one sheet that I cut down and shaped a little bit to fit the roll cage, but it's come in very handy. If you look at some of the tops, even just the front section, the cab or front bench, some of those are pretty pricey, and I think I spent maybe $70 or $80 on this and already had some pipe clamps that I could mount. So there are no modifications to the roll cage to get this top on, and it is very easily removable, as well as the windshield. The same thing for the mirrors, and of course we can always go back to the wheels and tires that were originally on it. As far as performance, I'm really happy with everything that it's done. At a 999cc engine, I believe, I think a 2-cylinder is plenty powerful for anything that we've wanted to do. I'm not racing other side-by-sides. I am moving around on trails, on the property, out on the road. It has all the power that I think you should need out of a side-by-side. I don't think a a vehicle of this style should be pulling a lot of weight. I have a tractor for that. If you're going to do a lot of ground engagement, pulling a heavy trailer, this isn't the kind of vehicle you need to be using. You might pull your buddy out of the mud from time to time if you're out running trails, but if you're mainly using this as work on your property or basic transportation to do stuff locally, I don't think the towing ability or capability is something to be too concerned about. It works great for moving a couple of trailers or whatever small wagon that you might have on the property, and it does that just fine. It has a low range and a high range, 5 or 6 speeds if I remember right, and does a great job.